Now let's move into a discussion of the stages of family life. Keep in mind that this has somewhat of a Western bias because in the United States, we tend to marry after we fall in love, or at least love is considered an expectation before you marry. So if we look at stages of family life, the first stage is the courtship and dating stage, the romantic stage, which some people might argue is the best part of a relationship, the beginning, when you're all excited about each other. And then eventually, if a couple dates long enough, they move to the next phase, which is marriage. And here we have the juxtaposition of ideal versus real marriage. Oftentimes, when people idealize marriage as a never-ending, everlasting honeymoon, they end up disappointed. And there are a lot of people who are very idealistic on their wedding day. They believe it'll be wine and roses forever. But that's not always the case. And oftentimes when people get married and the marriage doesn't live up to their ideal of what they think marriage should be, disappointment might lead to a breakup. And then there's child rearing. Now, child rearing is a very joyful experience, but it can also be a very demanding one. And it is a long-term, expensive commitment. When you bring children into this world, you're their parents for the rest of their lives or the rest of your life. And kids don't automatically move out at 18. They might move out, go to college, graduate in a few years, 4 or 5 years, don't have a job, come back home, find a job, move out, get their own place, lose the job, move back home, find another job, move out, get married, break up, move back home. And sometimes they bring the kids with them. And there are adult kids or adult children, or adults, that borrow money from their parents all the time, even when they're in their 50s and 60s. So oftentimes, parents still feel the need to be there for their children, no matter what age they are. And then there are the later stages of family life that might involve some struggles and disappointments, like caring for ill parents. One of the most stressful things that a couple can undergo is not only just moving children out of the home, but sometimes moving their mom and dad because they've become ill and they've become sickly. So they move back home. They move in with their kids. So the children leave the home. Sometimes that results in a stronger bond between a couple because they get back to the romance in their relationship. But then you have the death of a spouse that may occur because unless you're in the same accident or you coincidentally get sick at the same time or there's a murder-suicide, most couples don't leave here or die at the same time. So one's going to die before the other. And studies have shown that when the wife dies before the husband, sometimes within a year or so, he can be so overcome with grief that he dies from a broken heart. He grieves himself to death, or his health begins to fail without his wife. But oftentimes when a woman is widowed, she has a strong social safety net with her children and grandchildren and friends, so she might still be able to continue her life with activities and strong social support even after losing her spouse. So those are some of the things that can happen during the later stage of family life.